So today we have a fun speaker for you. She is from Zoom Room, and her name is Rachel Smallwood, and she's going to talk to us about pet safety and what you can do about it. And even if you don't own a pet, it's important to know this information, so don't tune out, because you may go visit somebody that has a pet, and you need to be careful around their pet. So I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Alrighty, guys, it's nice to meet all of y'all. That's where, so how many of you guys have a pet? Two. Awesome. How many of you guys know somebody with a pet? There we go. So, I'm from Zoom Room. A little bit of background on Zoom Room and me. Our CEO, Mark Van Wy, he's the one that actually created Zoom Room. So, a little bit about Zoom Room. It is a positive training facility. So, we incorporate positive punishment and positive reinforcement. So, our style of training, we call it clicker training.
You kiss my wife now?
I wish. That's where I joke. I was like, kids, wives, that's where. So, positive training. We focus on clicker training. What that is, marker. So, these are the clickers that we utilize. I click to mark the behavior my dog demonstrates to say, yes, that thing you did right there, I like it. But why would our dog listen to the click if it has no value? That's why some of the treats we use, the St. Rocco's, we add value to the click. So let's say I want my dog to stop jumping. The moment they get off me, I click and I follow up with a treat to say, yes, I want all 4 paws on the ground. You get rewarded for that. It's like children. We reward them for their good behaviors and we don't for their bad ones. So, Zoom Room's motto, we don't train dogs. We train the people who love them. My job is not to train your dog. I wish it was. It would be easy, right? But your dog goes home with you. So I train you guys to have a better bond, better relationship, skills to go home with. So some of the classes Zoom Room teaches: agility, obedience, puppy classes. We also do workshops. So if you guys aren't a client, you don't have to take classes every day. We've got workshops where you guys can come in for 3 weeks or 6 weeks. We have a scent workshop. We have a come when called if your dog needs a little recall work. We even have a loose leash walking workshop. So a little bit about me. I graduated from NC State 2023 with animal science. And I used to be a dog trainer. That's where you get Wolfpack. That's right. Hopefully there's no Carolina people. My bad. All right. So that's where I used to train at a different facility. I've only been at Zoom Room for about 2 or 3 months. I'm liking it though. It's fun. I also trained horses for about 10 years. So that's where I went from horses to dogs. Very big difference, because the horses, they are not small. Some dogs are, and some dogs aren't.
Are they smart?
Depends on the horse, and depends on the dog.
That's
That's what they say about the husbands. Yeah, no, I have a horse, Skylar. He is a very sweet boy, but he was very stubborn. Versus my dog, Rose, absolute angel. So, getting into some fall risks. So, leash pulling. Your dog pulls you. That's a fall risk. That's
I have
a little one. See?
Jack Russell Terrier. She's surprised. He wasn't bad.
Exactly. Yes. I love, and throw out examples. If you guys have examples, throw them out. Jumping. Your dog jumps on somebody. That's a fall risk right there. That's where size, like you mentioned the Jack Russell. Size doesn't mean anything. Dogs are strong. That's where my friend Nadia, she's got a Great Dane and 2 beagles.
Oh.
Guess what dog pulled her down? The beagle. Next, getting under your legs. This isn't even for dogs, this is for cats too. Cats like to get underneath you. Stairs. Not a lot of people talk about stairs. That's where if you guys are going downstairs and your dog tries to follow you, they could trip you. Same thing if you're walking them downstairs, they could pull you down the stairs or pull you up the stairs. Toys. A lot of dogs like to sprawl their toys out as a tripping hazard. Just like children. Children like to keep their toys out to make you guys trip. Same thing with their water and food bowls. So, looking at each of them, there we go. I was like, I may be young, but technology is not my specialty. So, right here, you've got a dog going underneath your leg. Does that look safe? Dog pulling. Does that look safe? That's exactly, yeah. Going down the stairs. That's where you can see the dog's head's turning. Does that look safe? Dog jumping. Even though they look like they're having fun, is that safe for somebody else? Toys. Does this look like a fun little walking tour to go through? That's her, I know, look at the dog smiling. He's like, yeah, I said walk through this. And then right here, this may not look like a hazard, but let's say you guys are turning around the corner too fast and your dog's drinking water right there. You could trip over them.
You could also get the end of that run.
Exactly. Yep. So, I want to talk about prevention methods and training methods. So there's two ways at combating different behaviors. Prevention. That's where we are preventing, we are stopping something that could happen. So, baby gates, pens, and crates. These are a great way to prevent a lot of different behaviors. So, right here, you've got your German Shepherd behind the gate. Let's say you know your dog loves people, and they just want to jump on them when they come into the door. I can prevent this by adding in a barrier. A gate to say, hey, you're going to stay in here till you can calm down and I can introduce you. Or over here. Maybe I put them in a pen or their kennel while I have guests over. I'm preventing a behavior that could happen. So do you guys use pens, kennels, crates at all? As for even my dog, that's where I may be a trainer, but my dog, she's about 45 pounds. My grandma is not a dog person, so she goes away whenever my grandma's here. Adding some kind of noise to their collar. This is for any pet. That's where you can just have a standard name tag that you guys can hear, or if you want to make it cute, you can add like a little cute pink or red to their collar. But let's say I'm about to walk down the stairs and I hear a bell. I may wait to see where my animal is. Let's say they come zooming past me and go down the stairs. All right, they're down there. I can go ahead and go because I know where they're at. Same thing, they've got light up collars. Let's say you guys are out on your walk or you let them in the backyard. If you have a darker colored dog or you can't see them behind bushes, you'll be able to see their collar to know where they're at.
Those color bells, they have bells inside.
Mm-hmm.
I got the one on the bottom there. That's a serious one.
It's just a regular name tag, so then it'll dingle.
Dingle.
Yep, that's for if you ever hear it. Mm-hmm. That's for if you guys don't want to add any little extra flair, you guys can do a regular collar. So here, looking at their toys and their feeding. So if my dog likes to throw their toys around, make it a tripping hazard, I can do a few different things. I can put it in a bin higher up and only bring those toys out when I want them to play. If your dog is playing with their toys, awesome. But the moment they're done, pick them up. That's to pick them up when they're done so you don't create a future problem. Or, this is a nice little neat rack that you can put all of their belongings on. I joke, I have a closet for my dog. That's where she has all of her jackets, her leashes, her toys, all in that closet so I know where it's at, so it's not out roaming in my home. Or I can just get a bin with a lid to cover, because your dogs will try and go sneak the toys out whenever they want it, so I can prevent that behavior. Water and feeding bowls. So if you guys are able to, this is my dream home option, to have their food and water go under a table, because I'll be able to maneuver around that table. Other option, anytime you guys are feeding them water, put a towel or a mat underneath. Dogs are messy, they're slobbery, they're gonna get water everywhere, and you guys can trip because of that. So putting a mat under to soak up that water. And then talking about feeding. I like designated meal times. A lot of dogs do free feeding. It's not a bad thing, but if you guys leave those bowls 24/7, that's a tripping hazard. Let's say your dog doesn't want to eat. That's where we have little mix-ins right here. We call these magic dust. So you guys can put this in your dog's kibble, mix it up, and encourage them to finish their food once you put it down. Just sucks it right up.
You have them for cats.
Cats, they do. I do not have them with me, but they do have an added for cats as well, 100%. And then some training methods. So, not everybody wants to train their dog. That's okay. That's why we have those prevention methods. But if you guys want to take initiative and train your dog, here are some options. So, leash pulling, how to combat that. I actually teach loose leash walking. So you can teach an actual heel where they're right next to you the whole time, or you can work loose leash. So how I implement the clicker in that, I carry a treat bag on me with my dog's favorite treats when I go out in public. That's where when I go out with high distractions, I'm bringing her favorite treats, or I'm bringing cheese, hot dog, anything that's high value. Or if I'm in the home and there's not that many distractions, I might just use her kibble. So let's say I'm walking down the street, my dog pulls me. I'm gonna call their name. The moment their head turns back, I click and follow up with a reward. I say, hey, yes, thank you for coming back to me and not continuing to pull me. I appreciate that. And I keep practicing that over and over and over. Jumping. I only reward them when all 4 paws are in the ground. So if my dog's jumping on me, I can turn my back, I can push them down, I can ignore them. The moment those 4 paws hit the ground, I click and reward. You guys can practice this with guests. If you have guests coming over, say, hey, I'm gonna let my dog out of the crate. I'm gonna let them out of their pen. If they jump on you, ignore them. Moment they put all 4 paws on the ground, then you may love on them.
Can I do it with my daughter's dogs? I visit frequently.
100%. That's where if they jump on you, disengage. And you can tell her, hey, I'm not gonna interact with them unless they stop jumping.
I can't use it.
You don't have to. That's what's awesome. That's where we use the clicker. That's because it's an easy sound, but you guys can still do the same thing where you ignore them, disengage. They put all 4 balls on the ground. Oh, now I will say you and enjoy your presence. Then if they jump back up, hey, nope, I'm not giving you any love for that.
I was wondering why we use the clicker. I'll just say down and retreat.
That's where you can use a clicker or a verbal marker, but you need one way to distinctify, yes, that is what I like. So when the dog hears a click, that sound is neutral. That's where there's no, oh my God, excitement, or hey, get off. There's no negative to it. It's a neutral noise. Or I can say yes, and just keep yes, yes, over and over. That's where I also don't like using down, because down is a position. So if I say down, my dog might get into the down versus getting off me. So I like a clicker for a few different reasons, mainly the neutrality of it. Because humans, we like to add a lot of inflection. We like to add a lot of tone, happiness, anger, anything. You guys can hear me when I'm presenting. I can get really up here, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Or I can go, hey, stop, what are you doing? The click, it stays the same every single time. Or if you guys say yes every single time. And that's where adding value. If I click, this equals treat. If I say down, it may equal treat. But if they hear this, every time I give them a treat, so they learn, when I hear this, something's good's about to happen.
But you don't do that unless they're down.
Correct. Does that answer your question?
I like the neutrality. Just
Exactly. That's because humans, we do have inflection. We may not mean to, but that's our behavior.
dogs pick up.
And then, yeah, you guys can notice when you're happy, their tail starts wagging. They get excited. That's where I don't know if you guys have ever seen videos of people saying a word and changing the meaning to it. Because I can say, oh, you're a bad boy. You're so bad. And the dog's like, yeah, what? Yeah, you're excited. What's going on? Versus if I'm like, you're a good boy, he's gonna be like, what the heck, why are you yelling at me? So does that make sense a little bit? So, then the recall, having a strong recall. Let's say I tell my dog to come. I practice inside the home first. Every time they come to me, they get a treat. Every single time. Reason why? If they hear the word come, and I've been practicing every time they come to me, they get a treat, I have a reliable recall. Where if I say come and I don't reward a treat, something might be better on the other side. So I like a recall when I'm out in public. Let's say my dog is running to my friend's dog. My friend's dog isn't the friendliest. I tell my dog come, Rose turns, runs to me, because she knows every time she comes to me, she gets a reward. So recalls are great for a lot of different things. Leash pulling. Let's say you see the squirrel before they see the squirrel. I tell my dog come, I have disengaged them from the possibility of pulling me. Place, bed, crate, etc. So we teach what we call a place command. It is a designated boundary that your dog is supposed to go to. It can be their bed, kennel, etc. My dog, I tell her place when I have guests coming over because I want to include her in what's going on versus putting her away in her crate. So we teach that. I won't go too in depth on that. That one is a little complex. And then I also recommend a training pouch. So you guys can use a treat pouch or just like a little purse with treats in it to have on you at all times. Because that's going to be the hardest part. If you guys are training and you don't have treats on you, your dog's probably not going to respond. As our dogs are what we call opportunists, they're going to do what benefits them. It's the same thing as humans.
Kind of like that.
Exactly. That's where my friend Krista, her husband brings her flowers, and she's like, "Oh, this is nice. I'm gonna clean the house. I'm gonna cook for you." Same thing with dogs. If you give them treats, they're gonna be like, "I'm gonna sit for you. I'm not gonna pull on the leash." But you have to be prepared. So if you have that treat pouch on you, you're prepared. I joke. I've got 5 treat pouches. Ironically, I did not have one in my car today, so that's what normally I do. But I've got one on me at all times or in my house all around, just in case I need that treat.
Don't you need to get to the point where you don't need it?
Yes and no. You may not need a treat every single time, but I always kind of use the comparison. If you went to work and you didn't get paid, how long would you be there?
Not long.
Just like your dog.
I would be, my wife would say, you ain't.
Just like your dog though. So if they don't get paid at some point, why would they do the work? So you don't have to treat them every single time they sit, but maybe, all right, you sat today, you get a treat. All right, you didn't bark at that dog, you get a treat. Does that make sense a little bit? The 2 things I want to focus on for you guys, situational awareness and then practicing. So practicing. I'm not going to expect my dog to understand the gate is there to stop them from going to see a person. So I'm going to practice it. I'm going to put them on the other side. If they stay on the other side of the gate, I reward them. Maybe I walk outside and open the door. If they stay on the other side of the gate, I reward them. That's where you guys need to practice before the situation happens.
You saying they could jump over the gate or something?
They could. That's where my dog is a prime example. She's a Malinois. She has jumped over a 6-foot fence before. That's where I have been where y'all are at. My dog likes to test me every single day of the week. She may be 5 years old, but she ate my bagels off the counter about a month ago. So that's where I still have to practice with her. But she has jumped over it. She's also 45 pounds. I don't think Ellie would jump over it. Ellie wouldn't try that.
Her dog would go out on the gate at the top of the stairs. As soon as she did that, we took her.
Mm-hmm. Those are practicing it. That's right. Because that's where if I trust my dog to do it the first time, they're not going to. And then situational awareness. Are you guys setting your dog up for success? Are you setting your cat up for success? That's where if I take my dog out on a walk and I haven't worked any leash walking skills, I'm not setting them up for success. I'm not setting myself up for success. So I do have a sheet up here. It actually goes over harnesses and gentle leads, different tools to help with your dog.
I've never liked the muzzle harness. We have the chest harness.
Mhm.
Muzzle harness, it doesn't seem like, so evidently it's a very common thing.
It is. That's where, but it's still. I still say practice it because a lot of dogs don't like that feeling on their face. So I would never put it on and take my dog out in public.
They're the evolution. They're
So practicing it. That's where I teach my dog. I work with a lot of behavioral issue dogs, dogs with aggression and anxiety. Muzzle training. I use muzzle training as an example. I never just put the muzzle right on because that's unfair to the dog. They don't know what I'm doing. So same thing with a gentle lead. I'll have the gentle lead, they engage, I treat. They put their nose through, I treat. They let me put it on them, I treat. Then I walk around in the home. Then I walk around in the backyard. Then I go out with distractions. I never start them where I don't think they're gonna do well. That's where I don't use them on my dog just because, one, I worked with her, and two, she used to get raw spots on it. Some breeds do have a tendency to get their hair rubbed off. So that's why the harnesses, I do like a harness as well. Awesome. But do you guys have any questions?
When you say place, that gives me the impression it's not enclosed.
Correct.
It's like you have a tower over there, and you leave it there, and you train the dog, the same place, and then you look at that tower, it's not enclosed.
Correct. So we call it inclusion. We're including them on what's going on, but they're still supposed to remain in that boundary. That's where I love place versus crate, because the crate, I'm excluding them. I'm saying, hey, go to your crate, we're not gonna do this right now. Versus place, I call it like an intermediate. I go, hey, I'm gonna give you the chance to be good. If you can't handle this, then I'm gonna put you up. Yeah, my dog, I have her place on her little bed whenever I have guests come over. I love it, because it allows them to be in the room, but it teaches them to calm and self-soothe. Anybody else?
Our dog does her business on command. She pees, and then she looks at you, and I go, good booby. Goes over, sure enough. Now you have the clicker. Our dog doesn't, she's old, she's almost 13, right? If I put my hand on the doorbell and make leave and run around, or she comes
She
here, this could be. It's a yellow lab.
So I love my labs. And that's where we do talk about the psychology. I always go over the psychology in your first lesson whenever you're at Zoom room. So that's what we call classical conditioning. You've taught her when that bell rings, it equals this result. It's the same thing as the click. This equals this. That's what we talk about item Pavlov, where the dogs, you rang the bell, they salivated because they knew there was something coming afterwards. So that's exactly what you've done with outside.
What happens when someone rings your doorbell from outside?
Well, she barks. She barks. When that bell rings, she barks. And she knows if somebody's at the door
Yes.
before they even get near the door, and she's not.
That's why my wife warns her,
You know, like ups is coming or something, barks like crazy.
That's mine still does that, and I'm okay with it. That's where I liked it. That's where I like, just like your wife, I liked it.
And I will tell her, stop walking. She doesn't. You have to open up the door, and she will go out. She don't care who's on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, she'll nudge you. In other words, I'm gonna play with you.
Oh.
And she loves the frisbee. Oh, she carries a frisbee ball.
I love that. Oh. Awesome.
I have a question. Has anybody in the room ever experienced a fall because of a pet? Yeah? Would you mind sharing your story? Yeah, please.
My little Jack Russell, like you said, it's a small dog, 13 pounds. She is athletic. She is a strong dog. And, she surprised me going forward. Yes, it is. So she's going forward and forward. Then there's a bit like those each. Unexpected.
So obviously training is probably the best way to avoid that fall, but is there an opportunity to like hold the leash a certain way that would
reduce your risk for injury when that happens, or
So
certain leashes?
I do like hands-free leashes. That's where they will not prevent a fall, but they'll prevent your dog from getting away from you. Because if your dog doesn't have a reliable recall, and let's say you accidentally do drop the leash and they get away, they may not come back.
What did you say?
A hands-free leash.
It's a.
No, it's, you can strap it across for your waist.
Oh, you attach it to yourself.
Mhm.
Oh, hands.
Mhm.
Yeah, right on your belt.
I think the reason she didn't get away that time was I put the leash around my, and wasn't just holding it.
Mhm.
I had it
And then there are some leashes that I like. They have handles throughout the leash. So let's say you lose grip on the first part,
Right.
you've got 5 others as backup.
Any other stories that you want to share?
Laura, you raised your hand. Yeah, I was going for the school bus. The dog was probably 2 years old. She saw somebody and she went forward. Right? And some man came running and said, I said, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I had to make sure that my hands and my legs and everything was good. You will pay, or you will pay where you live, etc. Said, I'm fine. She got away from me.
I think the other thing is Maurice.
There you go. Exactly, shift your weight. Stop yourself. See, you're learning.
Good job. And that's where the situational awareness, people think I look crazy on my walks because I'm looking. I'm like, all right, there's a squirrel there. My dog may pull, so let me go ahead and disengage. Okay, there's a person over there. She may pull. That's where I'm constantly looking around. That's where it's not because I'm in any danger, but that's where I don't want to take the risk of my dog pulling. Because that's where whenever I'm on vacation, she stays with my parents. That's where my mom, that's where my dad, they've got health issues. That's where I don't want her pulling them down. So same thing, let's say y'all's pups stay with somebody else. That's where we're working with them to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else.